Hey everyone, Cody here. And actually, the reason I'm doing this live painting is to test a different camera angle and a different microphone setup. So please let me know if the camera angle is okay. Just kind of testing it out. Normally I have it up a little higher and kind of point it down a little more. So just trying something different. But we will be doing it a fractal abstract painting since I've already got you here. So we'll go ahead and tear off a paper of our mixed media paper here. So we'll set that aside. And I've already got some gloss enamel paint, which is what we'll be using for tonight. I've got kind of a dark brown, a light gray, a dark gray, and white. And I actually meant to grab red, so I guess I could go ahead and do that now. And we've got a red. So it's going to be kind of an interesting color scheme, I think. But sometimes we just try to break the mold here, do something a little different. I love using black and white and some of these other common colors, but sometimes you got to break the mold a little bit. So if you haven't seen one of my videos, welcome. And you can leave questions or comments in the chat. I may or may not see them, only because I'll be painting. So if you have a question and I can't answer it, I apologize, but feel free to leave the same question on a different video and I will try to get back to you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and tape our paper down here, and just gonna use a little bit of painter's tape. I found that it's not as destructive as, say, masking tape. So just gonna get this bad boy taped down to the table here. And please let me know if you can't hear me. Again, I'm kind of using a different mic setup, so I don't know how much it's picking up from where I am. All right, so get this last piece on here. I kind of like the sound of the tape when it comes off the roll. It's kind of a nice, like, little ASMR type sound. All right, so we've got our paper tape down. So next, we'll go ahead and open our gloss enamel. We're gonna pop this bad boy open. And I get asked a lot about the paint, especially by people who are kind of just tuning into my channel and don't really know much about the paintings that I do. So sometimes I use acrylic, but this type of paint is gloss enamel. It's basically a high gloss house paint. It's also called like alkyd paint or just high gloss. And essentially it's the kind of paint that they use on like fire hydrants and guardrails and stuff like that. You've probably seen, just very shiny like pieces of metal, like for city type things. And that's essentially what this type of paint is for. And the way that I kind of got into using gloss enamel is because when I first started, I was very kind of enthralled with Jackson Pollock. In fact, he's kind of one of the reasons I started painting is because I just became really fascinated with him and the way that he painted. So not so much just the lines and stuff that he did, but kind of the way that he approached painting and kind of changed it with the action painting. So I wanted to recreate that, so I did start trying to make Pollock style paintings, which I have videos of, and that's kind of how I got into gloss enamel. So some of my videos, again, some of them are acrylic, but most of the paintings I do are these fractal paintings with the gloss enamel. And if you can hear me or can't hear me, please let me know. I'm going to check in just a minute on the chat to see if you guys can hear me. Okay, so I'm assuming it's good for now. All right, so we've got half of our paint stirred, and let's go ahead and, so, kind of coming back to the gloss enamel, I got it so that I could do Pollock style paintings, and so I did them, and then I just kind of kept using it and finding other ways to use it. That's kind of how I got into it. And now I just kind of use it for a lot of the paintings I do, because One, it's kind of unique to use gloss enamel. Not a lot of artists, well, very few artists use it. And two, I just like the way that it looks. The properties of it is very, it's very shiny because it's high gloss. But it looks very, shiny. I guess it just looks cool when it dries. So that's essentially why I continue to use it. All right, so now that we've got our paints all stirred, we're gonna go ahead and do a base coat on the background. So we're gonna give ourselves a gray tone background. This is so that the paint, because inevitably there's going to be gaps. If you've never seen one of my fractal paintings, you'll see what I'm talking about. As I kind of spread the paint out into these little fractals, there's almost always gaps. And so we're going to, paint the background, because once it creates those gaps, it won't be, just a white background, which is an issue I've run into in the past. So, just kind of doing these paintings, I've, learned from that. I'm gonna grab a drink real quick. All right, so we'll go ahead and finish kind of spreading our gray out here. All right, perfect. So good, right to the corner. All right. Now, as far as using gloss enamel, I get asked by a lot of people, especially people who are kind of just coming into painting. I don't generally recommend gloss enamel for beginning painters, only because it's very tricky to work with. It's not as forgiving as, say, oil or acrylic. But if you're going to do like a Pollock style painting, gloss enamel is essentially what Jackson Pollock used, and it just gives you a very good result. Acrylic tends to either crack or it doesn't spread as well as a paint that's already very liquidy. So, for those types of paintings, it works very well. So anyway, all right, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and put our paint onto our paper here, and we're just gonna kind of spread it out. Essentially what we're trying to do is kind of, create these little pockets of color. And then we're going to kind of pull them together. And we don't want to put too much paint, only because if you put too much on there, it starts to run together and you kind of lose the little fractal effect that we're going to be going for. Just put a little white there, just a little bit up here. And then lastly, our red. So just do some right there and just a little in the corner. And just a drop there. I think that's enough paint. We'll know as we go along, but I have a feeling it's probably enough. I'm gonna grab one more drink and then we'll make the painting. All right, so now that we have our paints on the paper, we'll go ahead and start mixing these paints together. And so we're just kind of picking up the paint from one area to the next, and we're pulling these colors together. All right, we're just about done. There's like people like racing down the street. I don't know. Guess they don't have something better to do. Alright, so now I'm just trying to kind of balance it out by picking up some of the lighter colors and moving them around. And we lost some of the gray. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the painting. Now we'll go ahead and kind of pull the tape off and see what it looks like. It's so satisfying to pull the tape off. Okay, so that is the final piece. Let me take my gloves off. All right, and we'll take a look at the final painting here. So this is the final piece. Overall, pretty decent. I think maybe the color choice was a little odd, and I kind of knew that going in. But you know, it's not a bad piece. I don't hate it. Like, I like a lot of the kind of the fractals going on here. Like, there's a lot down here and kind of up here. So there's a lot of movement, and I like the movement, and I feel like it's somewhat balanced with the red and the brown. But the other colors I feel like don't tie in too much. So, oh well. I mean, it is what it is. Overall, I think it's a decent piece. But that's it. So just let me know, again, what you think of the setup, the camera angle here. So let me know if this works for you guys. I know some people just came in, but this is kind of a little bit different camera angle, and I'm just kind of testing it out. So anyways, that's it. If you just got here, I apologize, but I will see you in the next video. So take care, God bless, and see you then. Bye, guys.